Once again, Saturday matinee, Celtics, Knicks, belt to ass. The Knicks, man. The Knicks spent their whole offseason trying to chase the Celtics. I mean, they mortgaged their entire future, trade some key role players, give up all these first-round picks. And for what? 5 first-round picks so Mikal Bridges can get the last 8 points of a game in garbage time as the Celtics are literally taking shot clock violations with a minute left to ease the pain so Mikal Bridges can shoot some uncontested threes. Like congrats, guys. You've really chased the Celtics, man. The Knicks are nowhere close to the Celtics. Like, it's actually funny. I thought they would be closer than this. They're not. Not only have the Celtics had a 20-plus point lead in all 3 games they've played against the Knicks this year, all 3 wins, by the way, but they're plus 63 in those games. On Sunday, they only won by 13, and I say only because it was really 20. I mean, the Knicks kind of cut into it in the last minute of the game. 13 was the closest game they've played all season. The others were 23 and 27. Like, they're and it is emblematic of how the kind of the corner the Celtics have turned here. But the Knicks, they the last 2 games they've lost by like 40 to Cleveland and the Celtics, and those are the 2 teams ahead of you. Like, you're sitting there in 3rd place, you might as well be in 8th. Because you're that much, like, think of being a Knicks fan right now. Being like, shit, man, we gave up a lot to try and get closer to these guys, to try and get closer to Boston, really. And Cleveland's blowing us out of the water, too. We're nowhere near either of these teams. We have not gotten better. We had our best year last year in, I don't know, a generation. And we're not any better going into this year with all that we spent. Oh, and to cap it all off, you know, the guy who is your best player, your MVP candidate for years to come, certainly was last year, Jaylen Brunson says, quote, "We just had a level of not really caring anymore." That's a good thing to hear. That's a good thing to hear in February after you just played the top 2 teams in your conference. But we're focusing on the Celtics, really, because now they've flipped a switch. They've won 9 out of 10. They've won 5 in a row. And in that 5-in-a-row span, they've won by an average of 18 points a game, which is what they were last year and at the beginning of this year. They're not just good. They kick the shit out of teams. The Celtics could play in a gym with the lights off, and they'd still beat you. That's where they're at right now. That's how connected they were last year, the whole of last year, really, from game 1 to game 100, 101, whatever it was. And this is what they look like again this year. They hit some bumps in the road. You know, I really was giving it to Jaylen Brown for how much he was hurting them in January, specifically, end of December into January. But my favorite Celtics player, Derek White, was also hurting them. He was in one of the worst slumps of his career since he kind of broke out 3 or 4 years ago. He had never had a stretch like that he had with the Celtics last month. They're both on their game. They both played terrific yesterday against the Knicks. Jayson Tatum, again, MVP caliber form. Not going to win it, but MVP finalist kind of form that he's had this season, continues to do it. Kristaps Porzingis was massive in kind of keeping them afloat when those guys weren't pulling their weight, Jaylen Brown and Derek White. And now he continues to pull his weight, and it just looks even better. The Knicks got it down to 4 yesterday in the 3rd quarter, and it was kind of hairy there for a second. But they go to a commercial break, they come back, and it's the very attractive sideline reporter. I'm sorry, I'm blanking on her name. Is saying that, you know, Joe Mazzulla in the timeout said, "This is good for us. We need to withstand this, right? This is what we needed. We've been coasting too much," and that's classic, like Joe Mazzulla lip service. Until they then extend their lead back to 20. And then it's like, man, maybe they did need this. Maybe just Joe Mazzulla guy's onto something. That's what the team did last year. Like, even like everyone would talk about how they don't come up in the clutch. Who are they going to go to in the clutch? When the game is on the line in the final minute, who's going to take the shot? And somehow, through basically the entire postseason, the Celtics avoided that problem. You know why? Because teams couldn't come close to them. And then they get to the conference finals, and some teams did, and everyone was doing it. Jaylen Brown hit the big game-tying three in Game 1 against Indiana. Derek White hits the go-away three in Game 4 in the sweep. Drew Holiday's getting steals. That's your answer. If it does get close, everyone can do it. But chances are it's not going to get close. Now, I am fascinated to see this series against Cleveland, inevitably, conference finals against Cleveland, because I don't think they're going to catch them in the regular season. Even with as well as they're playing, as the Celtics are playing right now, it's a lot to make up. So you're talking about home court advantage in Cleveland, which is a good building. It's a good building. Celtics play really well on the road, and they play well against the Cavs. But this is where it's going to be not make or break time, but where we're going to kind of see what the Celtics are the next month. Because it's going to be kind of a gauntlet. And you've already, Philadelphia's traditionally good. They're not good this year. They crushed them. But the Knicks, that's one. You've got a couple of, Raptors, terrible, but you have lost to them this year. Pistons, over 500. Yeah. Then you got Cleveland and Denver back-to-back. Friday and a Sunday, both at home. Portland, Philadelphia. Then you got the Lakers at home. You lost to them. You've got the Thunder a couple of games later. You get the Thunder on March 12th, and you go to Miami. You've got like a really good stretch there, right? Where in a 2.5 week span, you are playing the Knicks, the Cavs, the Nuggets. The Lakers can give you something. The Thunder. All kind of within that congested span. And if the Celtics can keep this thing going and they win 11 out of 12 or whatever it may be, or I guess that's only, they've won 9 out of 10. So if they win, 15 out of 17 in that span, and they're beating the likes of Oklahoma City and Cleveland, then I don't know how you can't make the Celtics the championship favorites, which they've only recently, the last 2 months, kind of fallen out of in favor of Cleveland and Oklahoma City. But we're back to that point where I see the Celtics play every night, and I'm thinking, who is beating them 4 out of 7? I don't care where you play. It's a good road team, man. Like, who is going to beat them 4 games out of 7? I think this Cleveland team's really good. I'm hot take, right? No, I genuinely think this is a championship level Cavaliers team, but they don't match up with the Celtics. The Celtics beat them. The Knicks, I still like as a team, but the way they play against the 2 teams ahead of them, they're not going to come close. They might not make it out of the second round, especially if they drop to the 4 seed. Oof. And you're playing Cleveland round 2? No chance. I give them no chance in that. Oklahoma City. They've had a stretch like the Celtics did this year. Who knows? If we were so down on the Celtics last month, maybe that rears its head with the Oklahoma City Thunder down the line. I just don't see how a team's going to beat them 4 out of 7. And right now, you are seeing as close to as we've seen to the 2024 Celtics in this 24-25 season. Long may it continue. Maybe they just really needed that break. I said they needed the All-Star break. Maybe that was really true, because here they are firing on all cylinders after the All-Star break and looking like a championship team from last year that is trying to capture their first back-to-back titles since Bill Russell was the player coach. So to give you a little bit of context there. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. Did this have the Celtics turn the corner? Let me know down in the comments below. And be sure to join us live every weekday at high noon Eastern time on YouTube, and then wherever you get your podcasts. Like, subscribe, fresh Boston sports content every weekday without, hopefully, a lot of the BS.
We are Rogue Media Sports.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. And if you like this video, be sure to give us a like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel a ton. You can follow me on Twitter here for some more outrageous Boston sports takes coming to you every weekday at noon Eastern time. And then after that, wherever you get your podcasts.
We are Rogue Media Sports.